This animated diagram maps the full spectrum of environmental data: light, sound, and frequency. This narrow band right here is human perception. Everything outside this sliver is completely invisible and inaudible to us, but it is precisely where the rest of the animal kingdom operates. When a sleeping dog suddenly perks its ears at an empty room, it isn't reacting to magic. It is receiving acoustic data that our ears simply cannot process, acting as a highly tuned acoustic targeting system. Similarly, an eagle acquiring a target from hundreds of feet in the air is executing complex distance and trajectory calculations based on high-resolution visual input. What we call supersenses are highly optimized evolutionary adaptations. They are specialized biological tools designed to gather specific types of data necessary for survival in ruthless environments. To understand how these systems function, we have to deconstruct the mechanics behind chemical signaling, visual geometry, acoustic early warning systems, and chronobiology. Before we can accurately study this level of ecological engineering, we must accept that human perception is an incomplete baseline. Take an insect swarm. In a dense, chaotic environment, ants operate with absolute precision without relying on visual confirmation. Their navigation is entirely chemical. This diagram illustrates how they do it. As ants move, they lay down a pheromone trail, a dissolving chemical line that maps the terrain. Guard ants at the nest entrance read these specific chemical footprints to verify exact kin recognition. If you place a physical object, like a pencil, directly across their path, you physically disrupt the pheromone gradient. The resulting behavioral chaos isn't confusion. It is a sudden, total loss of navigational data. Mosquitoes use a similar dual tracking approach. They locate targets by combining thermal detection of body heat with highly sensitive olfactory receptors tuned specifically to the odors emitted by the soles of human feet. The range on these chemical sensors can be massive. A male silkworm can isolate and track the specific mating pheromones of a female from several kilometers away. Mammals apply this same principle to territorial mapping. When a dog sniffs a tree, it is reading concentrated biological data. From trace amounts of urine and feces, they extract detailed information about the age, health, and identity of other animals in the area. These are absolute, objective chemical readings. Humans tend to classify smells subjectively as good or bad, but that is largely a psychological bias based on context. In nature, odor is just pure data. This layer of chemical signaling allows for complex societal organization and precise navigation, all occurring completely under the radar of the human sensory apparatus. This schematic compares two different approaches to optical geometry. On the left, human binocular vision uses forward-facing eyes with heavily overlapping sight cones. On the right, avian monocular vision features side-mounted eyes with distinct, wide-angle sight cones. The biological trade-off here is strict. The human setup provides depth perception, but leaves a massive blind spot. The avian setup sacrifices that overlapping depth precision to achieve nearly 360-degree coverage, maximizing threat detection. However, there is a mechanical limitation. Most birds have eyes fixed rigidly in sockets. To shift focus, they must physically pan their cervical spine. While prey animals use wide fields of view for defense, predators like eagles and kites prioritize extreme visual acuity. This diagram shows the scale of that optical power. A raptor possesses roughly a 4x visual multiplier compared to humans. It can resolve an object at 8 meters with the exact same clarity and resolution that we experience at just 2 meters. Lighting conditions further dictate visual processing. Diurnal animals, active during the day, utilize color receptors to distinguish fine details. Nocturnal predators drop color processing entirely to prioritize high-contrast black and white vision, maximizing their sensitivity in low-light environments. Optical systems in nature do not adhere to a single standard of good eyesight. They are highly specific geometric tools, calibrated strictly to the demands of an animal's ecological niche. Acoustic detection operates on similar principles of physical trade-offs. For mammals, the size of the external ear, the pinna, directly correlates with its capacity to gather sound waves. Birds lack this external structure entirely to maintain their aerodynamic efficiency. This cross-section shows the physics of acoustic impedance. Sound waves moving through the air are scattered and relatively slow, but waves traveling through a solid structure, like a wooden desk, move tighter and much faster, making the acoustic data sharper. Snakes exploit this physical law. Lacking external ears, they press their bodies to the earth and process these solid ground vibrations to map out movement in their environment. Animals also actively broadcast acoustic data to form interspecies communication networks. Langurs and various bird species utilize directional alarm calls, highly specific auditory signals that explicitly differentiate a ground threat, like a leopard, from an aerial threat, like an eagle. This auditory sensitivity scales up to macroscopic threat detection, as seen during the 2004 tsunami in the Andaman Islands. Long before the water receded, local animals detected the low-frequency seismic precursors and vibratory changes in the earth. Indigenous tribes observed this behavioral shift and evacuated to higher ground, saving their lives. Animal acoustic and vibratory networks serve as a sensitive, ecosystem-wide early warning radar. This brings us to chronobiology, the management of biological time. The apex example of extreme energy conservation is the sloth. A sloth's operational parameters are incredibly strict. Over a 40-year lifespan, it may confine its movements to just 8 trees. Its metabolic rate is so heavily throttled that it descends to the forest floor to relieve itself only once a week. This chart visualizes how that energy is managed over a daily cycle. A sloth sleeps for 18 hours, intentionally shutting down for 3/4 of its biological clock to conserve caloric energy. We can map this chronobiology across other species. Pythons also sleep 18 hours, using 3/4 of the day. A cat sleeps for 12 hours, using exactly half. A cow operates on just 4 hours, utilizing 1/6 of the cycle. The biological variable driving these fractions is risk. A giraffe sleeps for just 2 hours, 1/12 of the day. Its massive caloric requirements necessitate constant foraging, and its size makes lying down a severe predation risk. In the natural world, sleep is not a luxury. It is a strict evolutionary calculation, carefully balancing the necessity of energy conservation against the severe vulnerability of being unconscious. While these biological adaptations allow species to thrive, they offer no defense against targeted human activity. The population of tigers and other highly specialized animals is currently in a state of rapid decline. This decline is driven largely by poaching. Animals are killed specifically for the commercial value of their biological parts, such as the industrial-scale harvesting of elephant tusks. Similar threats persist for rhinoceroses, targeted for their horns, and predators killed for the trade of their skins. Protecting these species relies on geographic legislative frameworks designed to halt human interference within their habitats. We see this application in action through protected ecosystems, such as the Jim Corbett National Park and the Ghana Bird Sanctuary in Bharatpur, where resource extraction and hunting are strictly prohibited by law. Understanding ethology and comparative biology at a systems level provides the data necessary to implement effective conservation strategies and protect these intricate biological systems.